to speak here.
Okay.
Okay, so I was just explaining how LPs work, how smart contracts work. These are ETH tokens. Each red pin is worth 1 ether.
Ooh.
So those here for a second. And these are all Colt. These are Colt DAO tokens. Let's say that each blue pin is worth 100 Colt and each red pin is worth 1 ether. And when Colt was actually first made, there was however many billion tokens made, and it was sent to 50 trusted custodians, trusted guardians is what we call them, trusted guardians in the Ethereum ecosystem.
Like the founder's friends.
Yeah, fully anonymous people, and not even friends. Colt wasn't an inside deal. It wasn't sent to friends and big investor VC bags. It was 50 trusted people in the Ethereum ecosystem, the guardians. And what you have here is 100 Colt tokens, and what you have here is 1 ether. So we're on the same page. And you know, if you just have a bunch of Colt tokens, and that's all that it is Colt tokens, there's no liquidity against those Colt tokens yet, then all that you can really do with these is you can just kind of like give them to your friends, right? You can, hey friend, here's a token, you have 100 tokens, so on and so forth. But what we want to do is we want to make it so that we can do more than just send our friends Colt tokens back and forth. We want to make it so that people are able to go and get Colt tokens easily. So what we do is we're going to start a liquidity pool. And the way that this would work is someone would take one of their ethers, this is 1 ether, right? And they'd go put it in the liquidity pool. And at the same time, they would take their 100 Colt tokens and they'd put it in the same liquidity pool.
Is this one of the 50 trusted members?
Yeah, trusted guardians. I actually forget who provided initial liquidity. You know, usually like a VC will provide the initial liquidity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of why they get the tokens for cheap, is they provided initial liquidity, and part of why, right? But I mean, you know, you still have some ether that's not inside of the LP, and you still have some Colt that's not inside of the LP, and that's what you got there. And right now, let's say that all of the blue pins, all the blue tokens, this represents this right here represents like the total market supply, right? So in this analogy, there's 3 total ether, total supply. And there's, we said each blue pin was 100 Colt tokens. So there's 6 blue pins, there's 600 total Colt tokens. That's a total supply. And since it's easy to trade my Colt for my ETH, we can safely say that there's a 1 ETH to 100 Colt pairing, which makes ether, call it like a Colt token, call it like a penny against an ether token, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, so right now, if I go and put these into the LP, it makes it so that there's something backing the Colt token that people already want, because there's already a market demand for ether, okay? And we'll call this the liquidity, and then all of the tokens in existence make up the market cap. Right now we would say that there's 100 Colt to 1 ether. There's 600 total Colt. So the total market value, the market cap of Colt, we'll say is 6 ether. right? Do you see how I got to 6 ether?
Yeah,
Because
to 6 ratio.
yeah, because 100 cult tokens is worth 1 ether, right? 100 cult tokens is worth 1 ether, but it's not like all of the cult tokens are in the LP, but it kind of holds up the value of all of the ones that are not in the LP, right? So I'm over here holding this in my wallet. I'm holding 100 cult tokens in my wallet, and I can look on Uniswap and I can see that 100 cult tokens is worth 1 ether. Following what I'm laying down? Because it's easy to go and trade right now 100 cult tokens to get that ether out, right? Okay, so I can go and I can swap on Uniswap some cult for ether, but since not everyone is doing that at once, people are just holding their cult tokens as one should. It makes it so that those tokens in my wallet have a value, but obviously if a ton of people came and let's even do this just for, since pins don't cut in half, right? Let's say that there's 2 ether versus 100 cult tokens, okay?
You're saying that there's many more than 3 ETH in the world. I understand that, but is this for this explanation claiming that there are only 3 ETH in the world?
No,
for this explanation?
I just don't have enough pins.
No,
Okay.
I hear that. But for this theoretical explanation, are you claiming that the max amount is 3 ETH in the world for this?
That's another dimension of tokenomics, because
So,
you also have different tokens inflate their supply. Like Doge,
so
for
where does
example.
the 3 come from? The 3 is like the guy, as someone who is like, I'm willing to put up a maximum of one person, VC person, because no one else has the money to put into it at the start, that level of money. The VC is like, here's 3 ETH.
Yep. And
Someone also could have done 30. They could have done 30
Yep,
ETH, right?
Yep, exactly. You might have like some kind of meme token made on pump.fun where someone put like 1 Solana in against their billion wrapped McDonald's, right? So you have like Walmart McDonald's. It's the best meme token that hasn't happened. It's McDonald's on the Walmart network, or just Walmart McDonald's anyways.
But it's like, say the VC person believe that it's not worth 3, it's worth 300, then they would put 300 in, and that's how the value is higher, the market cap is higher.
Yeah, because ultimately, like, this is just worth whatever I can go and get for it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's worth whatever intrinsic value I hold, if I have like an emotional connection to it, or like the monetary value is just whatever I can go and get for it.
What was your Doge example? You say Dogecoin?
Well, yeah, we should talk about like token issuance maybe like in another thing, because like Doge is just infinitely minting Doge, right? Where there's no limit to how many Doge there could potentially be.
Well, that's why Elon is leading Doge, and that's why he has a spaceship company. It's endless.
It's endless. And then there's like Bitcoin, where there's a fixed supply, and fixed supply, because like, there can never be more than 21 million Bitcoins, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's certain values to that, because there can never be more than this many. But then there's also certain problems with that, because what happens when you can no longer create new tokens? Because normally you're giving new tokens that are being created, you're giving them to the people who are securing the network. Mining or stakers, people who are providing security, economical security, so that no one person could just kind of say, hey, all of the tokens are mine, and there wouldn't be enough other people saying, hey, no, dude, you're wrong. You know what I mean? you need people who are either running their computer, in the case of Bitcoin, to say, hey, like, this is what everyone's account balance is. Or you need people who are staking their ether to say, hey, like, I'm putting my money where my mouth is so that we always know what is true. And if I'm wrong, you can take my money, right? There's different things, like there's different dimensions. Right now, I'm just trying to explain the liquidity pool. Okay, so we have three of the total ether in existence right here, and we have 600 of the total cult tokens in existence right here. And I'm saying that when this cult token was made, there was some good guardian who said, hey, I want this cult token to have a monetary value. I want this cult token to be easy for other people to come and get some tokens. And some guardian took 2 of their ether and 100 of their cult tokens, and they put them in the liquidity pool. And the liquidity pool is like a smart contract that you would find on, say, Uniswap or SushiSwap or QuickSwap or any of these swaps that we've introduced, okay? Mm-hmm. So right now, if there's 2 ether and 100 cult tokens in the liquidity pool, what is 50 cult tokens worth? 1 ether, right? Yes, you're doing great. So someone outside of this system, someone who hasn't put liquidity in, is holding 100 cult tokens, and they have a really bad idea, which is sell some of my cult tokens, okay? So what they do is they go to Uniswap, and they're going to make a swap, which we've learned. We go get the contract address, right, paste in these things, and all that they're doing is they're adding cult token to the liquidity pool, and they're taking out ether, right? And this isn't an exact math because there's other things going on here, but now that there's 200 cult tokens in the liquidity pool and some dimwit took some ether out, you know what I mean? What is 100 cult tokens worth now? Half of an ether.
Yes.
Right. You got it. Okay.
Could someone invest ETH into this just because?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have one of these people over here who's like, hey, I want the price of cult to be less volatile. Because, I mean, like, this just went nuts. It went from being 1 is worth half to half is worth 1, you know, like, the token's doing this a lot because there's not a lot of liquidity, right? But there's another good guardian who's like, hey, we want that to be less volatile. Right now, 2 is worth 1. I'm going to take 200 of my cult tokens. I'm gonna take an ether, and I'm gonna go put that in the liquidity pool. And now you have 400 cult tokens against 2 ether, right? Because someone added liquidity at that market price, right? And it's making it so that there's more inventory available. When there's more inventory available, there's less volatility in the price. And when you see like liquidity on Dex Screener or CoinGecko or wherever, they're talking about the number of tokens that are in the liquidity pool. And when you see market cap, they're also counting these, right? So right now we have 400 cult tokens is worth 2 ether, but there's another 200 cult tokens out over here, right? And these 200 cult tokens aren't really supporting the price other than people are holding them and not selling them, right? So you would have a market cap of 3 ether, even though this ether isn't in the liquidity pool, right? Someone just over here, they just have that ether over there. But market cap is the sum total of all of the tokens' value at the current market price.
Can you repeat that?
market cap is the sum total of all of the tokens at the current market price.
Market cap is the sum of all the tokens at market price.
Mm-hmm. And the market price right now is 200 cult tokens is worth 1 ether.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, these people are just holding their cult tokens. What you have now is somebody wants to join the cult community. Smart. So what they do is they take their ether, they come and put it into the Uniswap smart contract. Now, if there were 400 cult tokens and 2 ether tokens, and that means that 1 ether is worth 200 cult, right? Then someone comes in and puts their ether in, and they take their cult out. Now what, right? Because if you put 1 ether in, you would get 200 out. That's the current market price. Now what is a cult token worth? Like, now we're getting into fractions, and it's not zeros and ones and zeros and fives anymore. It's, threes are in there now, right? You have thirds and stuff. But now you have 200 cult tokens against 3 ether. So you see how the value of cult is going up?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And the smart contract won't do a one-to-one exchange. There needs to be more liquidity for you to have less slippage. But slippage is essentially like if you put 1 ether in, you wouldn't actually get 200 out. You'd get like 187 out, right? And those extra, because it's called slippage. It just means that, like,
cost of transaction.
No, that's the transaction fee. This would be like if I could cut the pins in half and little bits, because you know how like ether is just like 1 gwei is a 1/1000th of an ether, and you pay when you pay a gas fee on Ethereum, you're paying little gweis. You're paying like an Ethereum penny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So when we come and put our ether in, it's not going to give us all of these because it's going to say, holy crap, there's a lot of demand for cult token, and we're going to give you the first 50% of the tokens you're buying at the current market price, but you're literally driving the value up as that ether is going into the pool, and some of that ether is going to be buying higher cost cult than the market price that you saw initially at, and you're actually going to get out like a pen and a half, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But let's just say, for sake of argument now, that we're now back to there being like a 1-to-1. So like we've seen how the market changed, right? And now we see that 100 cult tokens is worth an ether, and we can see that the market cap of all of the cult tokens in existence is worth 6 ether, because there's 600 cult tokens and 3 ether in the pool backing the liquidity, right? And right now, cult is at a $15 million market cap, whereas like a completely useless token, completely useless. I guess there's people who find community and meaning in it, but like Cardano, there's not a lot going on out there, and it's at a multi-billion-dollar market cap. And then Colt is this technology that is quite capable of doing a lot of cool stuff. One, every single time that someone trades Colt, a small bit of Colt is taken off and burnt. It goes away for forever. So there's always just a little bit less Colt available, which makes the ones that are still out there worth more, right? And the Modulus blockchain, the Modulus network, just like Polygon or Base or any of these things that we've learned to use, Modulus would be just like one of those. but every single time that you use it, a little bit of Colt goes away for forever. And also the Modulus blockchain is using ZK proofs, meaning that our transactions on it are private, as opposed to any of the blockchains that we've used so far, where we can kind of click in and see like, you know how I can go and see like someone's wallet and their balance and kind of some things about them, and all those things are public, right? So the thing I'm saying right now about Colt is there's a $15 million market cap, which is super low. If there became a lot more demand for Colt, it means that there's going to be a lot more ether in this pool, and there's going to be a whole lot fewer Colt tokens in this pool.
What would make this specific token increase in demand maybe like so significantly?
When the Modulus blockchain comes out, and
it's not out yet.
No, it hasn't gone live yet.
Okay.
It's close. It's close. In the Colt DAO, the Modulus team, they've been hiring some really wizard mathematicians and very respectable scientists who are making technologies that don't exist elsewhere, that would allow for us to use a ZK blockchain at a really high frequency rate. One of the problems right now with ZK blockchains is the technology doesn't really allow for things to happen quickly. So like if you were playing Avagotchi on ZK proof, you would like click a button and you would like wait for your Gotchi to do something, and you would just like wait and then it would go, you know? And the Modulus blockchain is like the fastest throughput ZK blockchain that would be available. So you would have privacy, but also be able to play Avagotchi. And you know, Avagotchi is just like an example, but if there was like a lot of apps on that blockchain, a lot of people would want some Colt tokens. And every single time that someone wants some Colt tokens, like some Colt token gets burnt, and then there's less Colt available.
What happens when there are only 1,000 left? Like it keeps burning off, and then it's like would they not spend it, or would they just hold on to it because it'll keep going away? Like
it just makes it more valuable. I mean, you can divide these things down to the billionth, right?
But a little bit, like barely noticeable disappears.
And you could do things, right? Like the community could vote to issue new tokens to the people who are securing the blockchain or to the people who are providing liquidity. And this is where it's like okay to issue tokens if you're burning tokens, because the issuance of tokens can create incentive for positive action. Like the Colt DAO community might say, hey, we're going to issue new tokens when this good thing happens, and we're going to burn tokens every single time that we're using the system, and this is a good thing. And this just shows that when there's a liquidity pool, I'm trying to represent, you know, liquidity versus market cap, right? And I'm trying to show that you should consider how much liquidity is there to market cap. Like you might see like with some kind of meme token that there's a multi-billion-dollar market cap, but only 10% of the tokens are in existence, and 90% of the tokens are sitting in like the founder's wallet. You know, that founder could go and just dump all of them and take all of the tokens out at any moment, and then everyone's kind of left holding useless tokens. You know what I mean?
Because he cashed out tokens
and took away all the liquidity, because the liquidity is what gives all the tokens that are not in the liquidity pool a value, right? You got it. And the thing I'm saying about Colt being a great buy right now is that it's only at a $15 million market cap, and the community that is holding it, they love holding Colt tokens. You know, I mean, you see, like, you say anything about Colt on X, and it's like, it gets 100 likes and like 13 retweets and a few dozen comments and you like aren't even cult famous yet, you're just like a normal person who tweeted about cult for the first time, and boom, the community's like, hey, we love holding this token together. So if you love holding the token together, the chances of people coming in here and doing this is just lower.
Mm-hmm.
So one, it's only 15 million. That means that like it has a lot of room to go up, right? Like if it grew to be the size of the Cardano community, there's still only this many cult tokens, but then there's a lot of new people coming into the ecosystem, giving their ether to the pool to take out some cult token because they want to hold the cult token too. You picking up what I'm laying down?
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask you for a written report later.
Nice. I understand it better than I did before you started explaining.
I think usually with most things, usually around the 7th time that you hear it is when you really get a firm understanding, and you should listen and you should learn and you should be happy with just getting really like 1% better every day at DeFi. And so long as you get 1% better, your understanding is a little bit better every day, that means you're doing good. That's it. Cult DAO.